Hey, what's up guys? In this video we are going to be going over channel strip VSTs and why they are infinitely useful and important to learn. I'm going to go through a couple examples here. So I have a loop here. This is the thing we're going to be affecting. So, it's rich in, well, it's not rich in dynamics. And that's a good example. It's just a typical loop that you might run into that you want to make fit in the mix and, kind of clean up. So channel strip VSTs are things that emulate the channel strip on a mixing console. So the channel strip is like that thin little line that the audio goes into, and there's things like, like input, gain, phantom power, inverting the phase. There's an EQ, there's a gate, there's a compressor, and there's the sends. You can have sends, and then there's the mixing fader for general volume shenanigans. And I remember when these first came out, they were all the rage. They were really exciting because people were like moving like from large format mixing consoles to in the box, and people really enjoyed the workflow, and the workflow is still maintained to this day. And I had this erroneous notion that a gate, for example, should only be used on vocals. And that is 1000% wrong. A gate, it can be applied to any sound to make it sound punchier, as opposed to a compressor. They both kind of do a similar thing, but a gate on drums just makes things sound pretty awesome. And it's a good way to get dynamics back and control things using gates and compressors in a combination of both. So this was Audio Track by Waves. When this came out, it was like, holy crap, this is awesome. And yeah, there was that. It was pretty efficient, and I had this on basically all of my channels. And I got to thinking, maybe I should be using the gate for something. I'll just give you an example here. Right, so this blue thing down here is the gate. There's an attack and release. We won't worry about that right now. But how the gate works is when the audio goes over a certain level, it's silent otherwise. But when the audio goes over a certain level, it'll basically turn on. So, it's a gate, how a gate works. Right, so this really kind of adds some dynamics in, so to speak, and, we can adjust the release so it'll kind of preserve them, make it sound a bit more natural, bring the attack to, 0.1. Right, if we have the release set very fast, it doesn't sound too good. So you kind of have to play around with the release a little bit. Right, and you can see that red, this is the, I guess you call it the gain reduction meter. And what this will do is this will kind of give you a readout of the volume attenuation or the gain attenuation that is occurring to your sound. So we'll just turn that on and off. Right, that sounds not as full, but in the context of like the bigger picture of your track, this will clean things up a little bit. And this way, yeah, you can just not have it so busy. And this works well on drums. This works well on, certain synth leads. It'll just kind of give you back dynamics. And yeah, gates are pretty fancy. This is similar to a transient shaper. A transient shaper is just a fancy gate. The transient shaper has a very specialized detection mechanism and all that. So yeah, with this, you had EQ, and everything was laid out like a channel strip, which was the workflow that everyone was used to. So there is that. So I'm just going to mute that. Then we're going to go to, let's say, this one right here. So this is the SSL channel by Waves. Let me just over there so I don't lose track. This is a very similar concept, and this is a channel strip of an SSL console. So believe it or not, all these things, these filters or whatever, this is your EQ, and you can adjust things like this. It's kind of hard set, and these EQs are very musical sounding. They're coveted. They have a sound throughout like the 80s and 90s, and even to today. SSL consoles sound amazing, and the reason why is because they had a compressor in every channel. So this is basically the SSL channel strip. Sorry, it's early. And yeah, you still have your dynamics, which is your compressor, and then you have a gate, and you can adjust things like so and get like really punchy drums and stuff like that. This has the invert phase kind of button to invert the phase, which was common on channel strips, and this is basically a similar workflow. So, but this is as opposed to the audio track, this is kind of digital, so the ratios are kind of floating point. Really, you can adjust them to any value. The dynamics of the ratio are set to kind of a different, it's kind of like a flexible value on the digital ones. You have a paragraphic EQ where you can set anything here. This one is a little bit finicky. Using these emulations makes you kind of use your ears more. So you'll just kind of what you'll do is you will boost a part of the track, and then you'll do a sweep, and you'll find a problem frequency or a frequency you want to enhance, and then you'll bring it down. So that's a common kind of thing there. And this is with the SSL channel. This is a really cool one. This is the Renaissance channel, which is like a mixture of the digital and analog. So it takes what's best of the analog world and applies it digitally. So you have, a gate. You have a very precise ratio, very fast attack, very fast release, very flexible, up to 5 seconds, which is pretty neat. The automatic release control is available here, which is a smart release, so you don't get like the distortion or whatever. This sounds pretty neat. This one just sounds, it's an updated version, because people are just like, this sounds too digital for me, and they're like, all right, mate. So then they just took what they learned from the analog modeling and applied it to this right here. And yeah, you got all sorts of cool stuff here. Paragraphic, like a visual EQ, as opposed to the console style EQ. And this was infinitely useful. And flexible routing, so you could go EQ to comp or comp to EQ. And that really kind of, in a channel strip on an analog console, you can't change the routing. Well, I guess you kind of could if you were, using like sends or something like that, but that's a different video. But yeah, this is same kind of deal. And yeah, this one is pretty neat. I would suggest playing around with this one. It's just the best of both worlds, in my opinion. Pretty fun. This is the R channel by Waves. So there's that. Let me just get rid of that. And then you have one that I've been using quite a bit, the Eventide Ultra Channel and E channel. And I'm just going to focus on the Ultra Channel for now. Ultra Channel is like it's like an updated, not more advanced. It has more features. So it has an optical compressor on it and stereo delays. And it's kind of, well, it's not kind of, it is modular. You can move it around. And it has a really nice gate. So, I would take this sound that I'm working on here. Let me just mute everything except the Ultra Channel. Right, so it's a little bit busy. This sound was squashed. I have no control over that. I didn't make this sample, but it's pretty squashed, and I want to make it kind of fit well. I want to get some dynamics back, so I'll do this with a gate, and it's pretty fun. So I'm adjusting the release. Notice the difference? Right, so we have that. Then I can use something called a compressor to kind of dial in the attack more, which is, pretty fun. And there's the threshold thing here. Just listening for it. I'll increase the attack so that transient kind of pokes through. Maybe get the ratio going on here. Yeah, 4-to-1 is good for drums. I don't know, it's just a general rule of thumb. And it's good to A-B by just turning it on and off. Right, that'll fit in the mix nicely. And just for fun, maybe I'll use the optical compressor, which kind of rides it. Right? I might just use just the O compressor, or, this compressor. Who knows? Let's just see. And then I'll boost the makeup gain. Right, I like that as opposed to this compressor. It just sounds good to me. Right, there's a lot more attack, a lot more snappiness in there, which is what you want because it's not what things sound like by themselves, it's what it sounds like all together. So if you have this just kind of, there, just, with no transients or dynamics, it's just going to get buried essentially. So infinitely useful. How many times have I said infinitely useful? And then you have a really cool EQ here. To get those highs going on, we can add a bit of low end. Using the mouse wheel to kind of get that bell going on, we can do a sweep. And yeah, there you have it. That is, the basic workflow of a channel strip. You can absolutely make your own in Ableton. Just, gate, compressor, EQ, and then maybe some gain kind of situations. I'll actually just make that right now. So I'll put all these here, and I'll just delete that. So yeah, let's make one. So typically, yeah, you'd start out with a gate. And then you would go, let's do a glue compressor, right? And then you would get an EQ in there. And then you'd get utility. And there you have it. And then what you can do is you can select that one, hold shift, select all of them, right click, and then group. And this will be our super awesome channel strip. And that's basically a similar idea. And it's a workflow that has been tried and tested and done since the beginning of time, since dinosaurs roamed the earth. And yeah, so I hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned stuff. It's a little bit early, but yeah, that's the general kind of workflow of, the taking the channel strip approach, like the classical approach to mixing music. So hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you learned stuff. Take care and have a good one.